Welcome back to Tales from the Bargain Bin. Last time we watched Video Brinquedo's Little Bee, and it was atrocious. But I have recovered from the injuries it gave my psyche, and I'm ready to move on to the next movie. I have several other Video Brinquedo movies, but people already know plenty about them, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. Also, I just don't want to watch them. So let me look through my collection here. Alright, Gladiformers. Looks terrible, let's go. God, this is awful. Who made this? Toyland something or other, I think? I didn't catch the company name at the beginning. Wikipedia says Video Brinquedo. No, that can't be. I'm looking at the box and it's nowhere on there. It says right here, it's on the list of movies made by Video Brinquedo. No.
It's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
So, I guess this is another Video Brinquedo film. It is somehow better and worse than Little Bee. It's better because of things that were purely unintentional. The movie is incredibly baffling and it made for a less boring experience, so it is better in that respect. However, it is also much, much worse in every other conceivable way. I'll try to summarize briefly, but I'm not doing a play-by-play of this shit film because 90% of it is aimless exposition. We are told that things are happening, we are told that there's some big conflict that led up to this movie, but that is all. Every scene could be interchanged with every other scene and you would never notice. Basically, a Transformer, because let's not kid ourselves on what these things are, named Julius Drive, ends up in a gladiator ring. He was put there, I think, by some other Transformer named Magnum Tudor, which is one of the least intimidating names I've ever heard. They might as well have named him Giant Fart. There's also a guy named Corjo Displo. I guess it's a better name than... The voice actors, bless their hearts, are desperately trying to treat this like a serious job. I can only hope that they didn't realize what the final product was going to look like, even if they did clearly know it was schlock. Speaking of the voices, you know how Ash was in Little Bee? Well, guess who's in this? Fucking Yugi. Yami Yugi to be exact, and it's unbearable. It's like if you saw Steve from Blue's Clues being forced to work in a mine. But there's a bunch of fights and the good guy wins, whatever. Like I said, I'm not really concerned with the plot this time, as much as I would love to talk about the intricate backstory of... I just want to illustrate as clearly as I can that this movie is really, really badly made. First off, it's slow as fuck. The footage I've been showing you, I've been playing it at 1.5 speed. Did you even notice? Also, the setting. You might think I've just only been showing scenes in the arena, or even looping footage if you haven't been paying close enough attention. But no, this is the whole movie. It takes place entirely in this room. If I told you that a movie took place entirely in one room, you might think, oh wow, how avant-garde. That must be an interesting movie. But it's not. It has no artistic vision whatsoever. The infamous Tommy Wiseau movie, The Room, which ironically does not take place in a single room, is unironically leagues better than this shit dumpster. Occasionally there will be a flashback to an outside location, but it's just a blurry still image. Clearly they had no budget for this, but all you needed was different arenas. They didn't have to look good, hell you could just recolor the same arena and maybe add some different banners. Anything to give the illusion that there's an actual world that these characters exist in. As bad as the world design of Little Bee was, I at least did get the impression that there was a large hive with different areas for different purposes. Hell, the last scene takes place in a bee city. Also, there was no reason for these robots to also be cars. They seem to be dealing with normal kingdom-type stuff unrelated to mankind, so there's no real reason for them to blend in. It would have actually saved them time and money to just render the humanoid bots, though I guess then they would have to animate pesky things like small body movements. And then they wouldn't get to have sloppy transformation scenes either. I know this was made to capitalize off of Transformers, but the normal robots would do that job well enough. No parent dumb enough to buy this is going to look closer and be like, wait, they don't turn into cars? Well, I did think this looked like a masterpiece, but now I see otherwise. And why is the announcer the robot baby head from The Matrix? Alright, I don't think I can muster anything else for this movie, but the video is way too short, and the last two were all so short as it is, so fuck it, I'm accepting my brother's bribe and reviewing another Video Brinquedo movie, The Little Panda Fighter. That's right, this is a double feature of shit. I'll say one thing off the bat, The Little Panda Fighter has an actual world. We have a dojo, a boxing club, a park, the basement of the club, the office of the club. Okay, it doesn't have a whole lot, but that's fine. This is still a more honest attempt at building a setting for your movie than Gladiformers. Things start off with a zoom in on the main character Pancata's face as his mistress pulls out the anal beads, but he's been warned about doing these things on the clock, so his boss Mr. Polaris sets him straight. As soon as he leaves, Pancata starts daydreaming and we get the first time waster. He wants to be a dancer, so this movie takes every chance to fill up some screen time with it. Let's have a little fun here. I am going to keep track of every time-wasting scene and add them up to see just how much sawdust they packed into this thing to make it the length of a movie. For the record, this first dance interlude is 10 seconds. We see a match between the current boxing champ and a Care Bear. I'll hand it to them, at least the Care Bear is more indicative of a reference or a parody than just ripping something off, so I'll let it slide. Pancata is then berated for not liking boxing because it's too violent, and we're introduced to Honey. Yes, that is really her name, I assume she's a honey bear. Thing about Honey is she's a real see you next Tuesday. She's a cunt is what I'm saying.
Shouldn't you get back to work?
I'm all done. The thing is, Mr. Polaris isn't exactly in the best of moods right now, and I was hoping I could ask to leave early. After all, it is pretty slow in here right now.
Leave early? Why would you need to? It's not like you ever have a date. Who'd go out with you?
And hey, this isn't sexism, Snotface here is also a cunt. In general, the people in this club are just kind of mean for no reason. Pancata asks Mr. Polaris if he can go home early, and his boss confides in him that because the current champ has been on top for so long, business is starting to tank. He wishes he could just fight him himself, but as part of the deal that got him the club, he had to retire from fighting. This actually makes more sense than I would expect from these movies because it would be a big conflict of interest if the guy running matches was also competing. So Pancata goes to see his master, who looks like if Chong was doing a racism and was also the crypt keeper. His name is Master Zin, and he teaches him dancing as if it were martial arts. Pancata tells Zin that he's having girl problems because he likes Honey, but she thinks he's a loser. For the life of me, I don't know why he likes her, but also it doesn't really matter to the plot. This doesn't end with them getting married or anything like that. You could cut the plot device altogether, and the movie would be relatively unchanged. Back at work, Mr. Polaris tells Pancata his plan to wear a disguise and fight in the ring, but the outfit needs to be washed. The next scene is another time waster, and it lasts 55 seconds. That night, or maybe next week, I honestly don't know, Polaris fights in the ring and wins, but his costume shrunk in the wash, making him look slightly more like Pancata, while the real Pancata dances for some judges. I guess this scene is somewhat necessary, but I'm only allowing so much leeway. They know what they're doing. I'd say this section has about a minute and 30 seconds of sawdust, and I'm being generous. By the way, Polaris posed for a newspaper before the fight, but they use his shrunk costume model even though the photo would have been taken before he got his suit back. In fact, it seems like he wouldn't have had the chance to do the photo op at all. Just another instance of sloppy filmmaking. But you know what? I didn't notice the first time I watched this, and once is the most times most people will ever see this, so whatever. Pancata fails his audition, I think. They talk at the end as if they're giving him a chance as long as he stops leaping randomly, but it's kind of hard to tell. The main thing to take away from this scene is that they switched to the wrong character model at one point.
See a lot of raw talent that, given some time, could be developed with proper training. And in addition to everything else I just said, Pancata, you'll be the first panda ever accepted into the academy. And won't that be a treat for you?
Since everyone thinks he won the fight the night before, people keep walking up to Pancata and praising him to his surprise.
Wow, he recognized me.
Yep. See you later, bran flakes.
What a nice cereal box.
Even Honey is into him now, but he thinks all the praise is for his dancing, which is set straight by Mr. Polaris. Then we have this glorious laugh segment.
You mean? You thought I was really talking about... I thought I was going crazy. Sorry, kid. Ain't that a kick in the head? You see, kid, I guess I really didn't know what you were talking about.
Polaris actually likes this mix-up though, as it provides him cover so he can keep fighting while pretending to be Pancata and pretending to be his trainer. The main person they have to worry about is Snotface here, but I'm not entirely sure why. He made some sort of deal with Polaris for the club, that's all I gleaned. I don't know what his actual role is or if he was the previous owner or something. He just seems to be a bookie. Pancata is hesitant about the arrangement, but a random, and I do mean random, kiss from Honey changes his mind.
Boss, I gotta be honest, this idea is way bad.
Oh, come on, Pancata. Think about all the perks you'll get.
Well, it is nice. I mean, getting adoring fans is what it's all about, you know?
Talking to Master Zin later, he still isn't really comfortable with the lie, and decides to train for real and fight the now former champ again himself so he wouldn't be lying. To this end, he blackmails Polaris, threatening to reveal the whole scheme if he doesn't let him do the fight. Polaris agrees and starts training Pancata.
All right, Pancata, listen up. The first lesson you're gonna learn today is how to defend yourself.
Great. I'm ready.
What are you doing, Pancata? You can't close your eyes. You gotta keep them open, see? So you know where your opponent is at all times.
I never thought of that.
This leads to an entirely unearned Rocky montage. Montages are the most acceptable form of filler, but even so, they need to serve a purpose, and this one lasted 2 minutes and 44 seconds, of which I will only allow 1 minute. I declare the rest to be sawdust.
You made me proud, Pancata. You have become a champion fighter. I believe that whether you come out a winner or take a horrible bloody beating.
The fight comes and Pancata gets his ass handed to him in a way that was really cathartic to me personally.
There goes my other eye! Time out! Somebody get him off of me!
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm as surprised as you are. Where's the...
But he reaches deep down and gets knocked the fuck out. Honestly, this was kind of surprising, even if they are just doing an incredibly less glamorous version of Rocky. The next day, Pancata goes to apologize to Mr. Polaris for letting him down. Very, very slowly.
Well, sir...
There's another 15 seconds. But Mr. Polaris reveals that since he knew there was no way Pancata would win, he bet all his money on the other guy winning and he got rich from it. Meanwhile, Snotface has started piecing things together.
I finally figured it all out.
But when he goes to confront Polaris, he finds that he's left and has given the club to Pancata. Polaris goes to the Arctic, and Pancata turns the boxing club into a dance venue and gives the girls new uniforms which look skimpier than when they were all just naked. It is also only on this final shot that I realize that Pancata bears a horrifying resemblance to Captain Spaulding. In a surprise turn of events, I think this is the best of the 3 Video Brinquedo movies I've watched. I mean, it's still shit, but at least I like the ending kind of, and it was the most coherent film so far, in a strictly comparative sense. Now let's see how much filler there is. By my estimate, there is a total of 4 minutes and 5 seconds where the movie is just wasting your time. If I was being harsher, that number is probably more like 5 or 6 minutes. Now that may not seem like much, but not counting credits, this movie is already only about 48 minutes long. It's struggling to even be considered a movie as it is, so every second counts. What saddens me most, though, is that this didn't need to rip off Kung Fu Panda. Alright, follow me as I run through the basic beats of this movie one more time. We have an action comedy about a janitor that wants to be a dancer. His boss owns a dying boxing club and wants to fight again but legally can't, so he fights in a disguise, making everyone think he's the janitor. Now the janitor is respected, but he doesn't want to be a liar, so he trains his heart out to fight for real but still loses. But his boss bet against him getting rich and gives the janitor the club, which he then turns into a dancing venue. Now, maybe I'm just crazy, but that sounds like it could be a decent movie. Maybe not a 10 out of 10, but it could easily be a 7. Yet they waste this story idea to cash in a few quick bucks, and that's just sad. But there, I think I've spoken as much about these movies as I care to for a while. I don't know if they get any better, and I don't plan on finding out anytime soon. See you later.
That.
Oh, there goes my other eye!
That.
Oh, time out! Oh, somebody get him off of me! Oh, there goes my other eye!
That.
Oh, there goes my other eye!
That. That. That.
Oh, time out! Oh, somebody get him off of my other